Jai Om Vishnu Bhagavatam. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Yes, Lord, Sustapakacharya, the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Jai Guru Premanandi. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharam Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Shripadaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishe Shunavani Paschante Vishatani Jai Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam yogete giri. Yat kripatam mande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam. Yat kripatam mande Paramanandavadamam. Yat kripatam mande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. We were discussing the Chatushloki Bhagavata, the 4 verses in which Bhagavatam was instructed by Lord Vishnu at the beginning of creation to Brahma. The 2 verses we discussed yesterday. I'll just read the verse translations to refresh your memory about those 2 verses. To the first of the 4 verses, prior to the cosmic creation, only I exist, and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. Lord Vishnu is telling Brahma. So Vishnu exists means in his form as Vishnu, with all his opulences, with all his paraphernalia, with all his energies. The absolute truth, complete absolute truth is Vishnu or Krishna. So exists as it is, as he is, always. Then the second verse of the 4 verses. What appears to be truth without me is certainly my illusory energy, because nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows, or in the light, there are neither shadows nor reflections. So this also we discussed yesterday, briefly. Now let us go to the 3rd verse.
नहीं, हमने निकाल ये तुम लोग का गार्लिक वाला.
We have to mute the speaker.
Hare Krishna, please mute yourself.
Yes. The 3rd verse. Yatha mahanti bhutani bhuteshu uchavasheshu anu pravishtani apravishtani tatha teshu na teshvaham. The meaning is, as the material elements enter the bodies of all living beings and yet remain outside them all, I exist within all material creations and yet am not within them. This is the transcendental nature of the Lord, inconceivable potency of the Lord. So Prabhupada explains the example given and the fact about the Supreme Lord. Both he explains in the purport. The purport Prabhupada says there are 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Now, these 5 elements are combined to form various objects. Essentially, we are concerned with the bodies of the various living entities, which are made up of these 5 elements. Now, the elements in small proportion are there in every body, which is of which the body is made of. Now, these elements exist both within the body and outside the body. Is it not? Earth. Some portion of earth is there in every body, but earth also exists externally. Water, similarly. So, all these elements exist both within every body and also outside the body. Similarly, the Lord, Supreme Lord Vishnu, he has entered into everything in this whole material creation. I explained yesterday. He has entered into the heart of every living entity as Paramatma. Correct? He has entered into every material atom as Paramatma. He has entered into every universe. He has entered into every planet. Where does it say in the Bhagavad Gita? He says that. What does it say? Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayami Ahamojasa. Pushnami Chaushadhi Sarva Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha. This verse in the 15th chapter, Krishna says, how are these planets floating in the air? They are such huge heavy planets. They never fall from the, from their position. How is it? So that Krishna explains in the 15th chapter that he enters into every planet and by his energy they stay in the orbit. And they're not just stationary planets. The wonderful thing about these planets is they are continuously rotating in their orbits. Every planet is rotating, including the sun planet. In the 14th verse, Kama Mishyacha Bhakta. No, 13th verse. In the 15th chapter, 13th verse. Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayami Ahamojasa Pushnami Chaushadhi Sarva Soma Bhutva Rasatmaka. The first 2 lines, Krishna says, I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. Why I'm reading this is, Krishna says, Vishnu tells, I enter into everything. So what is this everything? Every living being's heart. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishto matta smriti jnana. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hruddeshya arjunat. 2 verses. That is also told in Bhagavad Gita. So he's in everybody's heart as Paramatma. Then he enters into every material atom. Where is it said? Brahma Samhita. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Anda means the universe. So he enters into every universe, he enters into Paramanu, every material atom. Also, Brahma Samhita is said. Okay. Then he enters into every planet. Bhagavad Gita 15.13. He enters into every universe already, from Brahma Samhita, Andantarastha. Then he enters into the whole material energy itself as Mahavishnu. That is also described in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. Where the 9th chapter he describes, he enters into the material energy and because of that the creation begins. 9th chapter, most confidential knowledge. In the 8th chapter, I'm sorry, not 9th chapter, 8th chapter. Anyway, the 8th chapter describes that he enters the material energy in the Bhagavad Gita somewhere, that because of which the creation begins. So he enters the material energy as Mahavishnu. He enters every universe as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. He enters every planet in his super soul feature. He enters into everybody's heart as super soul, every living entity's heart. He enters into every material atom. Therefore, here it is said, the entire material manifestation develops and exists because the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters it as Paramatma or the super soul. The personality of Godhead in its all-pervading feature as Paramatma enters every entity from the biggest to the most minute, biggest to the smallest, everything is entered. Why all this is explained? Because he said, nothing can exist without me. The first verse, nothing can exist without me. Second verse, sorry, or the 4 verses. Nothing can exist without me. If something seems to be working without me, it is my illusory energy. So illusory energy, illusion, we may think we are independent or something is material nature is working independently. That's only because of illusion we think like that. Reality, everything is working because Krishna has entered into everything as Paramatma. 10th chapter, 42nd verse. That is where it is said. What is that verse? The last verse of 10th chapter. Atava bahunaitena kim gyatena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam krishnam ekamshena sthito jagat. This is the verse. With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So Prabhupada says in the purport, the Supreme Lord is represented throughout the entire material universe by his entering into all things as the super soul. Everything he enters is super soul. The Lord here tells Arjuna that there's no point in understanding how things exist in their separate opulence and grandeur. So far in the 10th chapter, he described my opulence is there everywhere in the material world. I am the light of the sun. I am the best among the each category of things. Correct? That's my glory, my opulence, my grandeur, my power. But here he's telling one should know that all things are existing due to Krishna's entering them as super soul. Without it, nothing can exist. Like this body, I give the example. This body is working because Krishna has entered a super soul, making it work. Without he making it work, how can we understand that food we eat is getting digested? We are breathing every minute several times. Are we consciously breathing? No, we're not consciously breathing. But breathing is going on long. Otherwise, this body cannot work at all. So how is it happening? Paramatma is making it happen. So he says, I digest the food that you eat by being present in your belly as the fire of digestion. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. Pranapana Samayutta. The 5 kinds of air is circulating in the body, and this air combines and it makes things happen. The combination of the different types of airs in the body moves everything in this body. Blood is flowing, right? Air circulation is there. We are breathing in and out. No, air circulation is there in the body. Then all the food that we eat, it gradually travels, and while it is traveling, the different stages of digestion it is happening. Movement is there, no? Right? Waste is evacuated, movement is there, no? How is that movement happening? Are we doing anything about it? Nothing we are doing. It's happening. Everything is happening. Perfectly it is going on. So that is because of the Lord's presence as Paramatma. He is making it happen. There is nothing like automatically it is happening without anybody's control, without anybody's supervision. No, nothing is automatic in this world. We say automatic machine, but there's a person behind it. The person has designed it, the person is making it work. He has arranged all the things, and there's a button that you push the button, electricity starts flowing, and then something is energized, something is activated, something moves, all that. Similarly, everything in the whole creation is working only because the Supreme Lord has entered into everything as Paramatma. That is the most important point in this third verse. Now let us look at the fourth verse. The last verse of the four verses. Etavad eva jignasyam tattva jignasunatmanah anvaya vyatirekabhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. The meaning of this verse is, a person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it to know the all-pervading truth. How to understand or know about this Supreme Lord as Paramatma. How do we understand? How do we know? So, somebody interested in transcendental knowledge must directly and indirectly inquire about it to know the all-pervading truth. We have to make inquiry. So Prabhupada says, those who are serious about the knowledge of the transcendental world, which is far beyond the material cosmic creation, must approach a bona fide spiritual master to learn the science both directly and indirectly. Ultimately, our goal is, we understand we don't belong to this material world because we are not the body. We are spirit soul. As spirit soul, we got a spiritual form, we got a spiritual life, we got a spiritual relationship with Krishna. That is in the Krishna's spiritual world, personal abode. So, to know about that world, we have to learn it from a bona fide spiritual master, and we have to learn both directly and indirectly. So approaching a bona fide spiritual master is absolutely essential. There's no other way you can know. The Prabhupada says, how much ever one studies, does research, speculates, analyzes, can never know about the spiritual reality or the spiritual world or the spiritual existence, spiritual life. Nothing the person can know. So Prabhupada also says, okay, what is the necessity of knowing this? Here it says, Krishna is telling you must learn this both directly and indirectly. Only then you can get that knowledge. Why? Why do you require this knowledge? Prabhupada says, there are different grades and standards of prosperity, even in this material world. The standard of comfort and happiness conceived by a common man engaged in material labor is the lowest grade of happiness for a human being. Correct? For it is in relationship with the body. The highest standard of such bodily comfort is achieved by a fruitive worker who by pious activities reach the plane of heaven or the kingdom of the creative gods with their delegated powers. So in this material world, there are different grades of happiness, standards of happiness. We know in this material world itself, in our own experience, There is the lowest worker who simply works, he gets some money. With that money, he is able to get some food, get some clothing, get some shelter. That is his happiness and satisfaction, the highest thing he can experience. But there are others who go beyond this. So, like that, if you go on searching for higher and higher standard of happiness, the highest available at the level of the body, in terms of the bodily pleasures, is in the heavenly planets. That experienced by the devatas. Swarga Sukha, heavenly happiness. And that's described in the scriptures. What is the heavenly happiness standard? In the seventh canto of the Bhagavatam, describing the incident where uh, Hiranyakashipu conquered the heavenly planets and displaced Indra. And he was sitting there and enjoying in the heavenly kingdom. So, what was the standard of comfort he was enjoying? That's described there. Directly, it's not explained, but in that description, it is there. So, in heavenly planet, first of all, the duration of life is many millions of times more than the duration of life on the earth. That's the first thing you should understand. See here, however much person becomes comfortable, has a lot of wealth, has nice arrangement, has good family, good relationship, peacefully living, the duration of life is fixed. Correct? It cannot be extended by any means. Whereas in the heavenly planets, the duration is much, much greater. And therefore, their enjoyment is more. That we can understand easily. The duration of their life is many millions of times more. They can enjoy much longer duration. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing, even the standard of comfort in the heavenly planets, example given in the scriptures. Here, gold is very, very precious metal. It shines brilliantly, and it has got wonderful, wonderful, what is it? Shine and brilliance. It's a very precious metal. And so people make ornaments out of it and decorate themselves or offer some gifts like that. In the heavenly planet, gold is definitely brilliantly shining and is very precious, but gold has got fragrance. Gold has got fragrance. That is not in any planet except the heavenly planet. This standard of comfort they enjoy. In the earthly planet, our body, when we sweat, it starts smelling bad. Or we don't take bath, it starts smelling. So naturally, our body, if it is clean, it's okay, no bad odor. But otherwise, bad odor. But in the heavenly planet, first of all, there is no sweating, there is no bad odor from their bodies. Secondly, the body itself has got its own fragrance. That is described also in the Bhagavatam. In the pastime of one Pururava. Pururava was the emperor of the earth sometime in the past. And one heavenly Apsara, Urvashi, she was cursed to remain on the earth for 1 year. There's something that happened. I don't remember the details. So she had to come to the earth. So if she has to come to the earth, she has to take a human-like form. So she assumed a human-like form and she came. So how will she live here? So she was wandering and she came across this Pururava. Pururava saw her beauty, and when he saw her beauty, he was completely captivated because her beauty is the Apsara's beauty in the heavenly planets. Is many millions of times more beautiful than the most beautiful woman on the earth planet. So obviously he's captivated by her beauty. Then he's inquiring from her, who are you? Where have you come from? You're all alone. So then she explained that I belong to the heavenly planet and I come to the earth, etc. So then he said to her, we can live together. I want to marry you as my wife, as the queen. Can enjoy together. She agreed for that. But after 1 year, her time was up. You see, she has to go back. So something happened and she went away. Poor Rava is heartbroken in separation from. Obviously, she's attached. He's attached to her, and so much he was enjoying with her. But that 1 year passed away like just one moment, few moments. That's all. Lost in that enjoyment. How time flies away when we get lost in some pleasures and we are suffering some pain. Even some small duration seems like to last very long. That's the illusory nature of time in the material world. Objectively, we can't understand what is time. But it's our own experience that sometimes time seems to stretch a long time, too long, when we don't want it to stretch. And we want it to last very long, it will get over very quickly. This is all relative, it's not nothing objective. Anyway. So then heartbroken he was. Then he was wandering everywhere, searching for her like a madman. And then 1 year later, she came back to the earth. And then suddenly he saw her. So then he approached her. And then she said, I'm missing you. I cannot live without you. Then she said, I cannot live on the earth, but I'll come once a year and you can have a son through me and be satisfied with that. So I said, okay, something at least. So year after year, he had sons. Then after some number of sons, she stopped coming. Again, he's heartbroken. Because every year he's waiting, no, she's going to come, she's going to come. Again, he's heartbroken. Like this, the description is there, particularly as attached to her bodily fragrance. No fragrance on the earth can compare with her bodily fragrance. Nothing could satisfy him. Remembering her bodily fragrance in association with her. So the point is, in the heavenly planets, then naturally each one of the residents of the heavenly planets have a nice bodily fragrance. So, like this, the standard of comforts and the pleasures enjoyed by the heavenly residents is billions of times more and the highest available in the material world, as far as the pleasures of the body are concerned. Now, higher than this is the happiness enjoyed in impersonal Brahman, called Brahmananda. The spiritual bliss derived from Brahmananda is billions and trillions of times more than the highest heavenly pleasure available in relation to the body. But this Brahmananda also, when compared to the happiness derived from pure devotional service, an ocean of Brahmananda doesn't even equal one drop of pleasure of pure devotional service. So, these are the different standards of happiness. So, Prabhupada says, when one develops pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Bhakti Yoga, one derives the ocean of transcendental happiness, not even drop, ocean of transcendental happiness from the association of the Personality of Godhead. So, why should we inquire about the spiritual world? Why should we learn about Krishna's presence as the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world? Because there only, in association with Krishna, in devotional service, we can experience or taste the pure transcendental bliss, which is comparable to quantities ocean. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentions this in Shikshashtaka, first verse. Anandambudhi Vardhanam. By chanting Hare Krishna, we are able to taste that transcendental bliss of happiness of pure devotional service in chanting Hare Krishna, which is like an ocean of pure bliss, and it is ever expanding. In the material world, we have experienced ocean is a huge quantity of water. Okay. That's the biggest quantity of water we can conceive, the material world. But that ocean is limited. The quantity of water, even though it's very, very big quantity, it is always limited. The ocean of happiness available in pure devotional service in our relationship with Krishna, in pure love of Godhead, is an ever expanding ocean of transcendental bliss. Anandambudi, Ambudi means ocean. Ananda means that pure happiness of uh, pure devotional service. Vardhanam, it is ever increasing. So in the spiritual world, as compared to the material world, everything is ever increasing. So even the living entities, in their devotional service to the Supreme Lord, taste newer and newer varieties of transcendental happiness, which is always ever increasing. The quality of the happiness is newer varieties. Nava Nava Rasa. This is explained by Prabhupada in one verse he quotes about Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya says, ever since I've been engaged in the pure devotional service of the Supreme Lord, I'm tasting newer and newer varieties of transcendental bliss in my devotional service, in relationship with Him as His eternal servant. And he says, at such a time, even the very thought of material happiness, what is the highest material happiness in this world? Sex pleasure. When I even think of sex pleasure, that he was enjoying that before he came to Krishna consciousness, he was the king of one kingdom and he was having royal happiness. So, royal happiness, he was enjoying nice sex pleasure with some queen. But he says, when I think of the sex pleasure in this material world, the very thought itself, my lips curl with distaste, and I spit at the very thought of that. It has become abominable. The highest pleasure in a material in this earth planet has become abominable. And as far as spiritual happiness is concerned, newer and newer varieties ever increasing. So that is what we're eligible for, what is we are entitled to as spirit soul. We are completely ignorant of that. We are completely missing that in this material world. So therefore, Prabhupada says, to qualify oneself to reach this stage of life is the highest perfection of life. Therefore, Prabhupada says, one should try to purchase a ticket to go back home, back to God. The price of such a ticket is one's intense desire for it. That's the only price you have to pay. What should you pay? The price? Intense desire for it. So in first canto, second chapter, 17th verse, Prabhupada says, the Supreme Lord is more eager to take us back to Godhead than we may be interested. And he says, most people in this material world are not even interested in going back to Godhead. And even if somebody is very little interested in going back to Godhead, they're not very seriously endeavoring to actually go back. This is the unfortunate condition of all of us here in the material. So, Prabhupada then says the same thing what he's telling here, he tells there, simply by desiring to go back to God, you can go back to God. But what is the kind of desire all of us are interested? No, as devotees, definitely we all want to go back. Why are we struggling here? Immediately, why can't we go back? Because we are not ready. We're not ready to go back. And what is that readiness that is required to go back? Exclusive, intense desire to go back. No material desires. Right now, what is the position? We don't desire to go back to God, but we also have material desires. So, with material desires, it's not going to work. Because it's these very material desires that obliges us to keep taking birth again and again and again. Why are we taking birth again and again in this material world? Because we have material desires to enjoy in this world. Material desires we cannot enjoy in the spiritual world. Material desires can only enjoy that material. So we have to actually purify our heart of all material desires. When will this purification happen? I described what are the highest material happiness in relation to the body, what are the highest happiness in impersonal realization of the absolute truth, Sayujya, and even higher than all these and the highest is the happiness of pure devotional service in relationship, loving relationship with Krishna. So unless we realize that this, like Yamunachar, he realized this material happiness is nonsense. It is like a pig trying to relish eating stool. When such nice halwa and wonderful prasadam is available. So a pig cannot understand what is the standard of happiness available other than its standard of happiness of enjoying eating some rubbish. Similarly, unless we realize what is that transcendental happiness enjoyed by the pure devotees in their relationship with Krishna, and we realize also that it is such a high grade, inconceivably it is greater. And it is eternal. It is not temporary, not time being, it is there and it is lost. So all these things we have to realize. How do we realize this? Approaching a bona fide spiritual master and learning from him about all this. So therefore, Vishnu is telling Brahma, one has to inquire into this subject matter, directly and indirectly learn about it. So what is this directly and indirectly learning about it? Prabhupada explains that. Prabhupada also says, all mundane relationships, all relationships in this material world, material relationships, are sure to be broken in course of time. But once one establishes a relationship with the personality of Godhead in a particular rasa, it is never to be broken, even after the annihilation of the entire material creation. This is the standard of happiness in relationship with Krishna in our original position. It is never to be broken. It is an unlimited quantity of millions of newer and newer varieties. So one should understand these facts through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. What is transparent medium? Now, Prabhupada is a representative of Krishna. He is coming in the parampara. Now, through Prabhupada, we should try to understand this. Now, through Prabhupada, if we try to understand and we are able to understand something about Krishna, is it the same as Krishna directly instructing Arjuna or Brahma? Prabhupada says, yes, it is same. How? It is just like whether you see some outside beautiful scenery through a window in which the window is open, or the window is closed but with a clear glass covering. It's the same. Because the glass covering is transparent. It is not blocking your view, even little bit also. Clean, clear glass. Right? Like that, the spiritual master, he is the transparent medium through which we can learn, we can see Krishna, we can relate with Krishna, we can establish a relationship with Krishna through the spiritual master only, not directly. That's what spiritual master is required. Sometimes people think, I will directly approach God. I don't require any guru. Never possible. Krishna cannot be directly approached. That's why Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. One must approach. Tad vijnanartham saguru eva abhigachet. They particularly used of this word in the Upanishads, in these words. One must approach, and only that way one can get this transcendental knowledge. There's no other way. There's no other way. So, spiritual master is absolute necessity. But even though spiritual master is representative, the contact with the spiritual master, the learning through the spiritual master, the darshan we can have of Krishna through the spiritual master is direct. The experience is direct. It is not indirect. It's not like Krishna is there, I am there, in between spiritual masters. No. It is like you're directly contacting Krishna. Example, simple example. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Prabhupada explains in the purport, 12.8 verse. He says, when the devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna and Radharani are dancing on the tongue of the devotee. Isn't that direct contact with Krishna and Radharani? Because in the form of the sound, Hare Krishna, Hare is Radharani, and Krishna is Krishna. The sound is Krishna. Sound is completely spiritual, and the sound is the person Krishna in full. In full. He is present with, in his transcendental form, with his devotees, with all his opulence, with all his abode, with all his paraphernalia, with all his love, fully is present on your tongue. So Prabhupada says, once one reporter asked Prabhupada, why are you always chanting? Prabhupada said, so that we constantly keep in touch with God. And how do we keep in touch with God by constantly chanting? That Hare Krishna mantra, that vibration is God. So we're directly in touch with Krishna simply by chanting Hare Krishna. So how do we learn this? That is learned only through a spiritual master like Prabhupada. So Prabhupada teaches us about chanting. Not only he teaches us about chanting, but before coming to Prabhupada, we didn't know anything about chanting. Okay, we learned about chanting from Prabhupada. We are chanting. But how to chant in such a way that I experience and feel the presence of Krishna on my tongue when I say Hare Krishna? How is that? What happened? So we have to follow Prabhupada's instructions on how to chant, where to chant, when to chant, everything, all details. You have to learn. You have to follow. So Prabhupada tells us there are 10 offenses to be avoided in matter of chanting Hare Krishna. So what are those offenses? We have to learn that. Then how do we commit those offenses? That also we have to understand. You don't have any ignorance. We don't know how we are committing that offense. What offenses we didn't know. When we come to know offense, how are we committing offenses? We don't know. And then after we understand how we commit offenses, how to avoid them. I want to avoid, but I can't avoid sometimes. Isn't it? It happens, no? So how to avoid under all circumstances? Then after I avoid the offenses, how do I chant with feeling? This chanting has to be done with feeling. Where is it explained? In the incident of Draupadi calling Krishna when she was being disrobed at vicious assembly. Asat Sabhayam Vanavasa Krichrata. Kunti Devi prayers, she describes. You saved my daughter-in-law, Draupadi, when she was completely helpless. What did she do? She just called out, Govinda! Finished. Krishna gave her full protection. Immediately Krishna came. So what was the special quality of her chanting different from what we are chanting? She chanted feelingly. She chanted feelingly. So that feelingly chanting is not a material feeling. It's not a material emotion. It is the spiritual emotion of the real you, the spirit soul. Right now, what are our emotions? They're all material emotions. They're emotions, our emotions, yes, but they're material because they are at the level of the material mind. They're all mental phenomena. They're all mental uh, expressions. Sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel sad, sometimes we feel neutral, sometimes we feel peaceful, sometimes we feel agitated, and they keep on changing. No, there is no constancy, no. Material emotions, there is no permanency, there is no constancy, and you know when you will feel how. Sometimes it's surprising, no? We want to be happy, but sometimes we can't be happy. Sometimes do something so that you can be happy, but opposite effect is there of doing that. Correct? So these material emotions are not the real emotions, not the real feelings. They are all interactions of the gunas. They're interaction with gunas. Everything material is interaction with gunas. They have nothing to do with the spirit soul. Nothing to do with the real I or real you or real any person. So real person means spiritual form, spiritual senses, spiritual mind, spiritual intelligence, spiritual relationship, spiritual activities. That is required. So this is not a small thing. You can easily understand. It's not a small thing. So that intense desire to have Krishna's association and taste that transcendental bliss in relationship to Krishna, in love of God, is possible provided we approach a bona fide spiritual master, learn from him about bhakti, learn from him the details of executing bhakti yoga, and we actually practice that. Practice that seriously. And practice in such a way that we'll be able to give up all these material attachments, material possessions, material desires, material, relationships, so many material things we have got with us now. Millions and billions of them are there in the heart. With long association, we have developed so many, entanglements. I don't even know how many desires I have, what all I enjoyed, and what all I'm still looking forward to enjoy. And I want some repetition of some old enjoyment. And I want to avoid some distress I've suffered in the past, like that. Hmm? So, this is not a small thing. Our heart is filled with material desires, millions and billions of them. So, cleansing them is not a small thing. Please remember this. And unless we are cleansed of all the material desires, we cannot awaken our love for Krishna. It's there. Love for Krishna is there in everybody's heart. Natural, it is natural, but it cannot be manifest, it cannot awaken, it cannot come out till we become free from all material desires. And you tell Krishna, you please purify my heart. Krishna will not purify unless you want to give it up. Krishna is all powerful. He can do anything. But he respects every jiva's free will. So our free will we have to exercise. And we have to desire. I don't want to enjoy. I have this desire for enjoyment. In ignorance, I was having this desire. I was looking forward to fulfillment of the desire. I was doing so many things. Now I come to knowledge by the mercy of my spiritual master. I understand. It's, I think, millions of times better, and this is nonsensical desire. And all this enjoyment is all temporary, and it is simply a phenomena of sense contact, correct? All this I understand. How to give up the desire. Not that I hold on to desire. Oh, I understand it is not permanent. But let me enjoy it. No, that's not going to work. In the sense, we can't give up the desire. We're not going to become purified. So, to purify the desire, the process is there. What is that? The Bhagavad Gita is described, 6th chapter. What is that? Where is that? The 6th chapter, 13th verse. The verse says, Yogam Atma Vishuddhaye. One should execute yoga for the sake of purification of the self. The 12th verse? Yeah. The 11th and 12th verse of the 6th chapter, please open. It is given together. Read the translation.
To practice yoga, one should go to a secured place and should lay kushagrass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and soft cloth. The sheet should be neither too high or too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and should practice yoga by controlling the mind and the senses, purifying the heart and fixing the mind on one point.
See? Purifying the heart. Yogam Atma Vishuddhaye. So Atma Vishuddhi is very important. So whether it is, this is of course describing Ashtanga Yoga, whether it's Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, any yoga, ultimately purification of heart is compulsory. It is necessary, absolutely necessary. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a very easy method of purifying the heart. Cheto Darpanam Archanam. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna. You don't have to do all this difficult process. No? Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, you can purify the heart. But this purification should be done in such a way that while we are cleansing the dirt away, We don't accumulate more dirt from outside. How are you accumulating this dirt? By material activities. How have we accumulated so much dirt is there? Where from it has come? From our material activities. Material activity, the dirt is accumulated. So, material activities we have to go on reducing. And how is that possible? Stop all material activities, become inert? No, that's not possible. Third chapter, what does Krishna say? Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. For a living being, a spirit soul, it is a characteristic of living soul to be always active. Not for one moment can a person be inactive. It's a very serious, secret thing that told in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita by Krishna. So we have to replace material activities with spiritual activities. That's the only thing possible. You cannot stop and do nothing. You have to be engaged in some activity. So those activities to purify our heart, we have to engage in spiritual activities and replace material activities with spiritual activities. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, sadhana bhakti, the beginning of our practice of devotional service, sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means you practice certain activities we have to do, and you practice them. So what is that? It begins by chanting Hare Krishna. But there are 64 varieties of activities he has given us. In nectar of devotion is there. List of 64 activities. You are performing already so many. Like taking prasadam, like having darshan of the deity in the temple, like taking charanatat, like participating in kirtan, like reading or hearing Bhagavad Gita. All this is listed there systematically, what all we can do. Observing festivals like Janmashtami and Ram Navami. All this is sadhana bhakti principles. So these 64 activities are given because we cannot do one activity all the time. In our present state, we'll get bored. So he has given varieties of activities. It becomes interesting and there's variety. Huh? And those varieties also, what kind of variety is it? Those by which we are able to engage our mind, our words, and our body, through which we perform varieties of activities even in the material world. All our material activities are performed through these three agencies. Either we are acting through our mind, or we are acting through words, or we are acting through our body. So, varieties of engagement for the body, for the mind, for the words in Krishna's service. That's what he has listed 64 activities. So, one assignment I'll give you. You go through the list of 64 activities in Nectar of Devotion. It's given in one chapter. And then a sixth chapter, I think, Nectar of Devotion. And against each you list, what are we engaging? We're engaging our body, engaging our mind, engaging our words, or engaging words and body, mind and words, mind, words, and body. Body means what? Our senses. And you got two kinds of senses. Our five senses of perception, Gyanendriya, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and sense of touch. And you got five karmendriyas, the hands, the legs, the voice, the genitals, and the anus. Okay. So which of the senses we are engaging for which activity of the 64 list, and which whether we engage in the mind, whether we engage in the voice, the words, like that. Hmm? So we make a list. Then you will understand the Acharya has so nicely given us exhaustive way, so many varieties of ways we can engage. When we fully engaged always in devotional service, then all our material activities will stop. Then no more material contamination again. Okay? When it stops, no more material contamination, old contamination is getting cleansed away by chanting Hare Krishna, by doing all those 64 activities, varieties of activities. And we constantly engage. The more we engage, the more quicker is the purification. As we engage, we become more and more purified. Our quality of devotional service keeps on increasing. So therefore, we say daily chant. Daily chant. Because simply by daily chanting, the first day you chanted, you got little purification. You made little advancement. Second day you chanted, you made little more. 100 days you chant, 100th day when you're chanting, if you've been constantly chanting properly, nicely, the amount of purification and the advancement you make on the 100th day by chanting the same one round or 16 rounds, whatever, is many times more than the amount of advancement you made the first time you chanted 15 rounds. This is the beauty of devotional service. So it's not going to take time to advance. First day I made so much advancement, say 0.001%. And to make 100%, multiply that or divide what is that 100% by 0.001%. How many days I have to wait? No. The advancement is faster as more purification happens, as more practice is done, as you do more activities, you accelerate your progress. Then what will happen? Suddenly one day you are completely pure. How do you know? You are experiencing ecstasy. The same chanting you're doing, but tears will flow from your eyes. You'll completely immersed in an ocean of joy. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated when he was singing, when he was chanting. Same thing each one of us we can experience. And that's a perfection. That's a complete purification, full absorption, full engagement, simply by chanting. But with chanting, we do the other things because we require varieties of engagement. Therefore, Rupa Goswami has given 63 other principles. And also, to maintain this body, we have to eat. So instead of simply eating food, ordinary food, which is simply contaminating and, spoiling our existence, we eat prasadam. Prasadam is relishable. Prasadam is purifying. Prasadam is spiritually powerful. You see? So it is required. All the 64 varieties of activities are required for us. It's not optional. Because in that way, we'll be fully engaged. We'll be able to maintain the body. We'll be replacing material activities with more interesting and more powerful, more spiritual activities. Correct? So this is very, very important. And this is learned from a spiritual master. He learned from a spiritual. So Prabhupada will guide us, Prabhupada will teach us as we go on executing in the association of devotees. Prabhupada guides through the association of devotees, through his books, through his instructions, through his followers. By being present in your heart as the Chaitya Guru, Prabhupada is in our heart. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. In that Guru Puja, every day we sing one song, Guru Vandana. In that, Narottam Das Thakur says, by the mercy of the spiritual master, all transcendental knowledge is awakened in the heart of the disciple. Divya Gyan, transcendental knowledge, Hriday Prakashita. Prakashita means is awakened. So we don't struggle to read, understand very difficult philosophy. No. Still, I tell read because we are habituated to reading and understanding and learning in our Purvashram. So those who don't know how to read, those who can't read, don't bother to read. Simply chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, do kirtan, everything. But we have studied so many years and we keep reading and we keep, in touch with so many other material literature. So instead of that nonsense, you now start reading Bhagavad Gita, start understanding Bhagavad Gita subject matter. So it's for people who already are engaged in such reading, understanding, learning. For such people, it is recommended. But otherwise, the real knowledge is acquired by revelation from within the heart. Simply by reading, nobody can understand. Real understanding comes from Guru within the heart. But simply I wait, Guru, you please reveal me within the heart. He will not do that. He'll say, you do whatever I'm telling you to do. Everything we have to do. And he will do it. He'll do his job if we do our job. Okay? Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions? We have 45 minutes. Yeah, please pass on the mic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just have one question. For Srimad Bhagavatam, what online source are you referring? Because the translation is not matching the Prabhupada book.
It has to be Prabhupada books.com.
It's not matching the Buddha Jatushloki translation that you read did not match.
Not sure. Then I don't have a original. You have the original. Please refer the original. I copied from somewhere. I think I copied from the database that is online. No? I think that I copied.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So you talked about the intense desire to return back to Godhead. Is that not somewhat selfish, Maharaj, meaning that we want that desire for ourselves to be enjoying Krishna? Is that not a selfish desire? I'm not sure if I'm explaining that correctly.
Yeah, I understand what you are asking. It is not selfish because unless we ourselves endeavor for perfection of our spiritual life, we cannot preach. We cannot preach. Prabhupada many times used to tell his disciples that you go on distributing books, but are you studying those books? Are you reading them? Are you taking advantage? What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Janma sarthak kari karo paropakar. First is you endeavor to perfect your life. Then only your preaching will have any effect. Otherwise, you may preach even without yourself endeavoring for perfection. But it's not going to be effective. Let's say somebody is preaching to others, chant Hare Krishna, it's very good for you, everything. They have read, they have understood, they have heard theoretically, but they are not chanting. Somebody asks, are you chanting? No, I'm not chanting. What is that? You are not chanting, you're telling me to chant, you're telling everybody to chant. What is the meaning in that? And Chaitanya Charitamrita is saying, Apani Achari Prabhu Jivere Shikshaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was practicing bhakti, not to teach others. He did not practice bhakti. He did not practice bhakti. Krishna in his grasta life, he was rising early in the morning. There's no need for him to rise early in the morning. Why? To teach us. Proper attending Mangalarti every day. Why? To teach us. He did not attend Mangalarti. He's already perfect. So, this is the point. Without our practicing, we cannot preach effectively. So we have to practice. But to practice, what is the goal of your practice? That's the goal. What the meaning in practice? Goal is to go back to Godhead. So it's parallel. It's never that I'll only preach or only practice. And this one more thing that Sanatana Goswami says about Haridas Thakur. The glory of Haridas Thakur's devotional services. Sanatana Goswami says this in Chaitanya Charitamrita is there, a conversation between them. Sanatana Goswami says to Haridas Thakur, some people practice devotional service very nicely, but they don't preach. There are other devotees who preach very nicely, but they don't practice. You are the ideal devotee who practices and preaches perfectly. Both you do in relation to the holy name. Haridas Thakur would himself chant very intensely, and he'll also preach everyone, please chant Hare Krishna. In delivering Jagai Madai, Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were both going door to door and preaching. So Haridas Thakur was also there with Nityananda when the Jagai Madai incident happened. So Haridas Thakur was always preaching and practicing and preaching. Prabhupada, he was practicing and preaching. So both are important. If somebody only practices, yeah, that is good, but he's being selfish. Somebody only preaches, it's not effective. He's not selfish, but he's not effective. So you have to do both. Okay, next question.
Manaji, I have one question. Uh, 2 days back, right, you said that in forest, it's a sattva gun, right? So grihasthas are mostly staying in cities, right? And the cities are like a rajogun. So then how we can practice or get the perfection?
Okay. So in Kali Yuga, you see, first of all, there are not real forests are very few. And it's not practical for us to go to the forest because the mode of living in the forest we are not accustomed to, even living at home. Because austerities in city life is much less than austerity in the villages or towns. Correct? So it is not recommended to go to the forest in Kali Yuga. So it is recommended that you stay in your own place. Brahmaji says this in 10th canto, 14th chapter. Sthane sthita srutigatam tanuvan nanopi. You stay in your own position and you engage in your mind, your body, your words in devotional service to Krishna. And thus perfect your life. No need to change your position. Neither it is practical for many people to give up their, current situation and go to some so-called ideal situation. Like people sometimes think, let me go to Vrindavan. And practically, I'll tell you what happened. One elderly couple, retired in Bangalore. They were practicing nicely, and after the two daughters got married, and then they are relieved of the responsibility. So they decided, let me go and settle down in Vrindavan, practice there. So devotees were warning them that Vrindavan is not easy for you. Having stayed in South India, Vrindavan is not easy to live there and practice. You're better off living here and practicing. Because they were in touch with the temple, they really used to come to the temple. They live near the temple in Bangalore. So then they said, no, we like to go to Vrindavan. It's a wonderful place. That's all. Okay, fine. So they went to Vrindavan. So they rented a place, everything, whatever required. Then the weather was extreme weather. So they had a lot of difficulty adjusting to that weather. Then so many difficulties in terms of, I don't know now, but now I think it's not so difficult, the facilities. But then the roads were not good. And then, there is no proper electric supply. Power keeps going off. And they were living a simple life. Didn't have elaborate arrangement of generator. Those days, householders who will have generators and nothing. And then the availability of some things, it will now like a village those days. Small town, at best a small town. Everything you have to go to Mathura. Something you want to go to Mathura. It's so difficult for them to travel. So all these difficulties, and one day there was a burglary in the house. They hardly have anything, but they were completely shaken up. It's not safe to stay. They came back to Bangalore. So this advice by Brahma is perfect. Advice by Brahma is perfect. See, if we are used to staying in one place, we're going to adjust it to that place. Very easy for us to, do our routine activities, no? Right? So remain in your place. You create the suitable atmosphere which is there in Vrindavan by making your home a temple. That's what Prabhupada says in another place. Make your home a temple. Krishna is the center of your life and your home also. So everything you do, you have a picture or a deity of Krishna, and you offer everything you eat to Krishna. You consider the whole, whatever I have in possession belongs to Krishna, which means that I use it in only Krishna's. I'll not use it for my sense gratification. This way your house becomes sanctified, your life becomes sanctified. You're living in a temple, you're living in a transcendental place, not just place of goodness, forest. You're living in a transcendental place, above even goodness. This is a recommendation.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And this is only possible because of Bhakti Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga one cannot practice at home, cannot practice in the city. Go to a secluded place, sacred place. Okay? Jnana Yoga, you require to be in association of saintly persons who are cultivating knowledge. Scholars, Brahmin scholars or great learned pandits, in their association only you can learn that. Karma Yoga, pious activities, so many arrangements are required. Qualified brahmanas are required. Ingredients are required. Not practical in Kali Yuga. So only Bhakti Yoga is practically feasible. And Bhakti Yoga best is done in your own home. Or wherever you think you can live, nicely. It doesn't matter. If I'm home, I don't mean only home. Wherever you can live, where you decide to retire, it's okay. But don't go searching for some sacred place. Don't do that. That's impractical. Okay. Any other question?
I have one more question, Maharaj. So in one of the purports from yesterday, Prabhupada states that Vishnu is a demigod. Would you mind clarifying that?
Yeah, he acts as a demigod in being the maintainer of this material world, in being the director of the mode of goodness, like that. He's acting as a demigod. He's not a demigod. But he's counted among the demigods also. Which demigod is, which personality is doing the function of this position or demigod? Vishnu, maintainer, as the maintainer of the demigod. Demigod means these administrative posts, administrative personalities, administrators, for demigods. Devata. Next question, if any. Yeah.
Yesterday, while mentioning about the difference between Krishna devotees and Vishnu devotees, I think I don't know if I understood it correctly, but said the Vishnu devotees are non-spontaneous service.
Yeah, their devotion is not spontaneous.
Can you please explain that?
Okay.
The intimacy with which somebody can relate with Krishna is much more than the intimacy with which they can relate with Vishnu. Why? Because in relationship with Vishnu, what dominates is Vishnu's opulence, Vishnu's power, Vishnu's um, unlimited wealth, unlimited strength, unlimited everything. That dominates the consciousness in Vaikuntha of everyone. In Goloka Vrindavana, Krishna is full of all opulences. He is the Supreme Lord. He's got unlimited strength, wealth, everything. But Krishna hides everything. The brother says, no, Krishna is unlimitedly powerful. Neither he displays that. He's just an ordinary coward boy. But he is the most lovable coward boy. Most attractive, very sweet, very charming. Very easily, everybody can connect with him. Vishnu, his position is the Lord, topmost position in Vaikuntha. Everybody can simply approach him just like that. No, they have to go through the protocol. He's accessible, not that he's not accessible. Just like king is accessible to all the citizens, but there's a protocol. And there's a certain distance always depending on your position. That's the meaning of approaching to the right channel, no? Krishna is the right channel? Nothing. Wherever he is, coward boy will come and hug him. You can do that wherever. That's called spontaneous.
So there is
That's only possible with Krishna because Krishna hides all his opulences. He presents himself as another resident of Vrindavan. That's all. As much as there are so many residents, he is equal to everybody. There are so many coward boys, he is also one coward. So many coward men and women have children. Nanda and Yashoda, another pair of coward men and women who also have, man and woman who also have son Krishna as a son. That's all. There's one photograph you have put there. Krishna and Balaram played like ordinary human beings. That is the specialty of Krishna's pastime. Vishnu comes, he doesn't act like an ordinary human being. He does extraordinary things. Narasimha, he tore apart that body of Hiranyakashipu effortlessly, with so much power. The whole world, everybody shaken. He never hides his power. You see? What is it? Is time up?
32. Last half an hour.
No, that's over. My presentation is over. The fourth verse is over.
Okay.
I have some more questions.
You can ask more questions. Okay.
Alright, sorry.
Just let her ask questions.
Okay.
There'll be variety.
Actually, this is a follow-up to what you asked already. If we are to like Krishna's relationship with Krishna is more on the spontaneous path, then but we are following only regulated because we are contaminated. So,
So we always go from regulated to spontaneous. We can't directly go to spontaneous.
but
Because spontaneous is a advanced stage. Simply because of that.
so then it's not for us to decide. It will automatically become by that it will become spontaneous because we are to follow only regulated.
It is a stage of development of bhakti, no? There's no choice in the matter. There's no question of making choice. Do you want regulated or do you want spontaneous love? Is it? That's what you're asking?
So it
There's
will
no
become
choice like this.
automatically, right? That's
See, Mataji, it's like this. Now, different members of the family relate with a gentleman who's the head of the family. Now, whether their love with the father or husband or son or whatever is intense, not so intense, whether it is intimate or not very intimate, all this is subjective, no? There is nothing no rules and regulations to say this person can only be intimately related. Somebody else cannot be. There's no such thing. Love is personal. It's between two people. So between each individual Jiva and Krishna. But Krishna reciprocates with everybody. The way they want to serve him. Like Krishna has got so many devotees. There are devotees who are fanning Krishna. There are devotees who are, uh, rating Krishna as cowherd boys. There are devotees who are rating Krishna as their son. Devotees who are relating with Krishna as the lover. The cows, the calves, the bees, the peacocks, the monkeys, all of them are serving Krishna. Don't have the concept of a monkey in the material world. Okay? Spiritual world, monkey is also devotee of Krishna. So they're all serving Krishna according to their particular relationship. So that relationship is not external body. Don't go by external body, monkey, bee. No. In fact, the form is according to the relationship, not that relationship is according to the form. Material world is the reverse. The relationship is according to the form. Okay? Whereas in the spiritual world, form is according to relationship. That's called bhava. So we get a suitable form according to the relationship, the way we relate with Krishna. So how do we understand this? Depending on what kind of service I would like to do Krishna. What kind of service I would like to serve Krishna. What kind of way I would like to serve Krishna. It's very difficult to understand now because we are completely, we only know what is material relationship of persons and now. We have no idea what is spiritual relationship. So please wait till you sufficiently make advancement to understand spiritual relationship different from material relationships. Material relationships is complicated because it is dependent on so many factors. Dependent on karma, dependent on situation, dependent on multiple relationships also affect one relationship. Sometimes it happens. Father feels mother is more lenient with the son than I'm lenient with my son. But my wife is more lenient with the son because the son is getting spoiled. And then there's a big fight between the husband and wife. See how the mother's relationship with the son is that particular relationship. The father's relationship is another relationship, different persons. And it has got its own dynamics. But because the father feels my son should not get spoiled, he's seeing that the mother is relating with the son more leniently and he's getting spoiled. So he's making objecting, don't be so lenient. The wife says, no, I'm not being lenient to him. I'm just being, kind and considerate to him. He's after all a small boy. See, dynamics of a relationship is something else. In spiritual relationship, these dynamics don't exist. There's no quarrel between two devotees of Krishna to serve Krishna. Like Nanda and Yashoda, they don't have to quarrel. You are treating Krishna like this, Krishna should be treated like nothing. Because they are both surrendered to Krishna. That's what makes the difference. Here, nobody is surrendered to anybody. Nobody is surrendered. At best, they can do it as a duty, at best. More than that, everybody's have got their own selfish interest. That is material life.
So Maharaj, just to rephrase, so even if we are on the path of the spontaneous love, but our job is to just to focus on the regulative.
No, you have to go step by step. If you study Nectar of Devotion, you'll understand this. Nectar of Devotion says, first, sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. So sadhana bhakti is beginning. That also there are stages. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Priya, Anartha Nivritti. These four are very important in the beginning. So for these four to happen, practice properly, there are rules, regulations, and guidelines. That's called Vaidhi Bhakti, Vidhi, Vidhi. Vidhi means rules and regulations. We have to follow all the rules and regulations. That's like we are told, rise early in the morning, attend Mangalarti, chant 16 rounds every day, avoid 10 offenses against holy name, avoid offenses against devotees, bow down to devotees every day. Like all these rules you have to follow. But simply following the rules mechanically is not the spirit of following the rules. Like outside world, if you work in an establishment, if you follow the rules mechanically, it's enough. Nobody's going to check whether you're following mechanically or you're putting your heart and soul. Nobody can question like that. I'm doing the work I'm supposed to do. Give me my salary. That's all. But with Krishna, there's no salary, no. Spiritual master, there's no salary. There's no increment. There's no promotion. Right? Spiritual master is concerned in your spiritual welfare. So out of his kindness and compassion, he's preaching, he's encouraging, he's teaching, he's answering questions, he's enlightening from within the heart. Correct? So correspondingly, reciprocally, you as a disciple, you accepted Prabhupada as spiritual master. Now you have to follow. You have to make progress. And you take his help, guidance, seek his guidance, the way he is instructing how to take guidance. Physically is not there. Even when it's physically there, everybody could not simply write letters or meet him, ask him questions. Not possible. So he made a system how to practice, how to take his guidance. We'll follow that. So as we keep following, we'll make progress. So sadhana bhakti, we make progress from Vaidhi bhakti to raganuga. Raganuga means with attachment. Same thing we are doing. Now we don't have attachment. When we develop taste, then there is attachment. Right now we know it's good for us to chant so that we become purified and we advance. But we don't have taste for chanting. Because if we had taste for chanting, we would never stop chanting. Nothing else is more attractive, more meaningful, more relishable than chanting Hare Krishna. The highest. But we don't have the taste. So we have to continue with following the rules and regulations till we develop a taste. But once you develop a taste, there's no need to follow the rules and regulations because you go to the next level, spontaneous devotional service. Yeah, you can ask.
It can be called. My question is why we are using that specific word spontaneous and non-spontaneous, because we can use directly devotees are in touch with Krishna and indirectly devotees are in touch with Lord Vishnu.
No, it's not indirect, direct only. Both are direct.
So they have levels. You mentioned.
Levels means in their position in serving Vishnu. Just like we organize service for the devotees here. Everybody cannot be reporting to the president, asking everything, president, what to do, what to do, what to do. So we can make a system, no? Because here, because we have limitation, we have to do system. In Vaikuntha, not because of system, because that's the way it is, devotional service is to be done. That's the way Vishnu wants it. Like Vishnu says, don't worship me directly. You come through my devotee, you don't approach me directly, you come through my devotee. Vishnu wants it that way. You can't ask why. Is it difficult for him to relate with everybody directly? No. He's all powerful. He can do it. He doesn't want to do it. That's the way he wants. We can't understand why. These are all mysteries of devotional service. Now, if you offend a devotee, Krishna takes that offense more seriously, and in fact, he only takes offense rather than devotee. Krishna will not pardon. Ambrish Maharaj was offended by Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, Ambrish Maharaj was not at all taking offense. And after he learned that Durvasa Muni is in so much trouble because of the offense, he is waiting to, help him become free from that harassment of that Sudarshan Chakra. But Vishnu is not pardoning him. Vishnu is saying, you have offended my devotee, I am not going to pardon you. So these are all mysteries of devotion, sir. You are a very nice devotee, you are doing very nice service, but you cannot offend any of Krishna's other devotees while doing service. That's not easy for us in the material world, right? If I chastise somebody, I have a reason for doing it. I'm not whimsically doing it. But in the course of chastisement, if not done with love, if the devotee is offended, Vishnu takes offense, Krishna takes offense, Guru takes offense, everybody takes offense. Then my advancement is blocked, temporarily at least, till I clear the offense. These are all secrets of devotion. So that's why I study Bhagavatam. The dynamics of devotion. It's something personal, it's not mechanical. Machine works according to the way it is designed in one way, in a particular way, and it will only work that way, will only give that product or do that function, etc., etc. Person to person, is there any set pattern? Only you can do this, or only you can serve this way, or only this much love you can give? Nothing like that. So person means is wholly different. Matter and spirit is the major difference. Spirit means something personal. Matter means mechanical. Matter means laws. With Krishna, there are no laws. No laws of karma. No laws of nature. Nothing. Only love predominates. What prompts a devotee to do whatever he is doing? Love for Krishna. So to understand this, it's not easy. I'm describing so much. Don't think I've understood all this. I'm not understood. I'm just repeating what I've read in Prabhupada's books. It is difficult to understand. It takes time. We have to actually progress. We have to actually progress. We have to do service. We have to become humble. We have to do more and more service. Our service should be such that I'm doing little, let me do more. Let me do more. And that more also because we develop a taste for that service. We feel very enthusiastic to do that service. We like to do that service. Nobody has to force us. That's the nature of devotional service. No? So to understand this and to actually go through it takes time. You should be patient. You cannot be impatient how quickly it will happen. It can happen quickly, but provided we keep making progress. As I said, the accelerated progress happens as you make more advancement. So try to engage more and more, very sincerely, very nicely. That is, don't offend other devotees. Be careful not to violate the rules and regulations. Then your progress is guaranteed. It is very fast. And Prabhupada says, at the end of this life, you go back to God. That he gives guarantee. Only Prabhupada can give that guarantee. Nobody else can give it. You follow. You practice. Associate with devotees. Avoid offenses. And then you go ahead to go back. Prabhupada will take it. Any other question before we close?
Hare Krishna Maharaji.
Yeah.
I have a question on chanting.
Yes.
Is it advisable to chant verbally aloud, listening to self? And is that the only right approach, or one can chant also in mind, listening to self? Would that be
No,
wrong?
no, no, no. You should not chant in the mind. You should
Okay.
listen to the sound, because Krishna has incarnated as sound of Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaji.
Next question. Yes, madam.
Hare Krishna Maharaji. So I have two questions. First is, uh, uh, can a devotee stop coming to the temple at any stage of their spiritual journey? And could you explain, yesterday you mentioned about the four features, which I forgot what they are related to, but one was the effect of soul, which is the e-consciousness. So how our consciousness is different from the animals and the consciousness of mentally challenged people? Can they approach Krishna?
Okay, the first part of the question. Let me come to second part of the question later. First part of the question is, can we stop coming to the temple at any stage?
Yeah.
Why would you want to stop coming to the temple? Because
No,
no, it's not like you should come to temple, or you should stop coming, or you may stop, or nothing like that. The temple is helping you in so many ways that you'll only want to come more and more. And you'll only not come because you're unable to come to some reason. Because you develop attachment. The whole process of bhakti is attraction, attachment, liking. That is the whole process of bhakti. And it is natural, it's not imposed, or it's not artificial. When somebody says, I like to go to the temple, if they're a devotee of Krishna, then it is very, very natural and very meaningful. And it is not some external show. And the proof is, they never miss coming to temple unless it is impossible for them, or some big obstacles come, some calamities happen. They never miss coming to the temple. That is proof. They like coming to the temple. You don't ask them, do you like coming to the temple? No. The very fact that I come every day, I never miss, it's I like coming to the temple. Why would you come? So that's the first answer. Okay, second question.
So yes,
Difference between animal consciousness and those who are mentally challenged and a normal human being. Is there a
Yeah,
difference in
which is-
consciousness?
So consciousness is
That is not a difference in
Effect.
consciousness. No. I'm talking of, that's not a difference in consciousness. The difference in the state of the mind. Okay, let's forget animals for a time being. Let's say different human beings, mentally challenged, and somebody who's a mature adult, somebody who's a not so mature adult, immature adult, but not mentally challenged. So these three appear different behavior, different, kind of interactions they have with people, etc. Is because of the mind, which is material. You understand? It's the mind. Nothing to do with soul.
So even the mentally challenged people can.
Yeah, they can chant Hare Krishna, they can go back to Godhead. Why not? Why not? If animals can go back to Godhead, why not anybody else? Okay. Any other question?
An online question.
Yes, online question, please read.
Question is, Hare Krishna Maharaj. In context of yesterday discussion, I have one doubt. Parashurama is considered the sixth incarnation of Lord Vishnu, yet he worshipped Lord Shiva. How should we interpret the significance of a Vishnu avatar showing devotion to Shiva?
Now, Lord Rama worshipped Shiva also in Rameshwaram. Okay. So the Lord Even though he is worshipable by everybody and he doesn't have to worship anybody, he receives worship. But still, when he plays the part of a sage, of a king, then he exactly behaves and follows the etiquette of a king or a rishi. You understand? Addressing the question, of course. So, the Lord behaves exactly like the perfect son, the perfect friend, as Krishna covered boy, as Parshurama, perfect sage, rishi. He's a rishi, perfect rishi. So rishi means they have to respect the hierarchy of the devatas, Brahma, Shiva. They have to respect. So they do that. Respect. They offer the respect. So there, you can't say, he is Supreme Lord, why he has to worship Shiva? Rather, Shiva worships Supreme Lord Vishnu, no? Always. So why he has to worship Shiva? He's teaching us the duties and the responsibilities and the behavior of a saintly rishi. In devotional service, we don't say that because I'm engaged in devotional service, I give up all my duties. I don't care for my responsibilities. No, never. What does Krishna tell Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita? Ma manusmara yudhya cha. Yudhya there means you fight, referring to Arjuna's duty as a Kshatriya. You remember me and also always do your duty. You cannot give up your duty. In order, just because you're doing devotional service, because you're engaged in bhakti, you cannot give up your duties. So to teach that, the Lord Himself acts in a way that is the correct behavior, correct way of acting as a sage, as a king. That's the answer. Any other question? Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj. The question is then how did Krishna's envious enemies attain liberation?
How they are attaining liberation, they are envious of Krishna. When they come in contact with Krishna, they become purified. They become purified. Anybody comes in contact with Krishna anyhow, they're purified. They're purified, then they are freed from all sinful reactions. Then their enviousness towards Krishna is completely nullified. Okay, any other question?
Online.
Online question, yes, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. If the variation in the nature of human beings is due to their mind, how do we understand the difference between 4 lakh human species? Typically, it's said the difference is based on consciousness of the species. Could you kindly clarify?
Yeah. The consciousness in our present condition is the effect of the state of the mind, intelligence, and ego. But this is not our original consciousness. What is the original consciousness? What is it?
Servant.
Krishna consciousness. So that Krishna consciousness is covered by this material consciousness. So yes, the varieties of species are according to the difference in the kind of consciousness. But that is also due to the differences in the nature of the mind, intelligence, and ego. Varieties. So consciousness is the net effect of the state of the mind, intelligence, and ego. But when we practice spiritual life, we transcend the mind. We transcend the intelligence, material intelligence. We transcend the material ego. We come to the spiritual platform. On the spiritual platform, and spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna, as spiritual senses, as spiritual relationship, everything becomes spiritual. And the spiritual platform. Then this body is just incidental. It's like Srila Rupa Goswami, 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan. They were executing devotional service 24 hours, but they would eat little just to maintain the body. But that is, no doctor or no medical scientist can explain. They're so active and they're eating just one dry chapati once a day, sometimes not even that. So how this body is working? They say, no, you require minimum so many calories, you require so many proteins. What proteins, what fat, what calculation we do in one dry roti? And Raghunath Das Goswami is taking little butter every day. Little butter. Just for the sake of maintaining the body. Little. So the energy, Prabhupada says, comes from the spirit soul, from the transcendental platform. Energy doesn't come from the food we eat. That's a wrong understanding. The food is required for the body development. That's, some cells keep dying. So that we replace the new cells. For that, the food is required. Okay? It's required. But food is not required for me to do any work. My energy is coming from the soul. That is why when we take to spiritual life, if on some days we are fasting, if you practice fasting without becoming too much affected in the mind, then we feel more energy than when we are properly eating, properly taking rest, etc. I've experienced this. And all the devotees can experience this actually. But that doesn't mean we stop eating completely and simply keep fasting. No, because there is imitation. When you come to spiritual platform, that can be done. But now we have to follow the principles where we are told to eat in a regulated way. Don't eat too much, don't eat too little. Don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. It means a certain proper quantum of eating, sleeping, working is required just for maintaining the body. Then only we